Digitalization has meant that traditional leadership just will not cut it in order to not just survive but thrive in business. And therefore, leadership needs to be reshaped or disrupted, if you will, in order to achieve business success. We have with us today an individual who is the epitome of disruptive leadership. He is an extremely dynamic personality who is a successful CEO. He is also an actor as well as a business speaker. So who is this intriguing individual? Let's have a look. In conversation with Peter de Almeida at Enable to give us some valuable insights into disruptive leadership in the digital age. Hi Peter.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us today.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
So I'm sure we don't have to teach the rules to someone who knows the game so well, so let's get right into it.
Okay.
So Peter, you hail from a family with a staunch religious father and a very resilient and persistent mother. So how did these key moments in your childhood help to shape the dynamic personality that you are today?
Okay, that's very interesting. Because I was born into a family of 11 children. So there was 11 of us, my mother, my father, that's 12, 13, my grandmother 14, two cousins 15, 16. So 15 people in the house when I entered the world, that's the youngest. So when I was born, my father was 64. So he conceived me when he was 60. So I am 60 now, and I could possibly have a child now if I followed my father's footsteps. But the thing is, he died when I was 4, and only my elder sister was married. So my father was gone. So out of the 16, 14 in the family, very little income, almost no income. So we had very little. And of course, my mother, I asked her later, how on earth did you deal with this situation? Weren't you afraid? She said no. I said, why? No, I knew that God will provide. So simple her logic was. But of course, to God to provide, two of my sisters and my brother had to chuck up their university and all of that, and they had to go to work. So they had to pay a big sacrifice to keep this family together. So and in my mother, I was not conscious about it at that time, but in my mother, there was this woman, she was essentially a housewife. But she had tremendous resilience, as you said, Karishma, and kept this family together. So, and I think I must have learned a lot subconsciously about what it means to be resilient in the face of what might seem as absolutely hopeless situation. To hold this family together, everybody comes in, that's where the team comes in. And then, you keep going, and we have all turned out fine, That was one aspect. But my father, you're right, he was a very conservative Catholic. And looking back now, I won't say happy, I'm relieved that he died when I was 4. Because you see, if he was alive, he would have conditioned my thinking. He would have said, no, this is the way it is. Now God tells us to do this, so you bloody well do it. So no questioning whether this is right or wrong, or you have to, just follow the dogma. And he would have conditioned my mind. So I think the important thing is that I had complete freedom. No one interfered with me, nobody came to see whether I did well in school. There was no such thing as a parent-teachers meeting or anything like that. My mother came to school only once. That is because at A levels I was a head prefect and we organized a strike, one-day strike. Now that's a matter for a different discussion. And then the principal wanted everyone, parents to come to school, just to tell them your son is a troublemaker, whatever. And my mother agreed that what I did was the right thing, so that was the end of that. So anyway, the point is that I had complete freedom and I could imagine. And no scholarship exam, none of that. So I think that's the quality that I think I've carried with me. This deep sense of curiosity about anything I do, I'm deeply curious. I don't operate at the surface. And that comes with the possibility to imagine. And that is why, I think it was Einstein who said, imagination is more important than knowledge. And yet, schools and all that focus on knowledge. Knowledge is limiting. Imagination opens up the entire universe. So I think this combination of imagination that led to curiosity and that led to creativity, I think those are the three basic qualities that I took from my childhood, I think, to be what I am, whether it is in theatre or whether it is in drama, whether it is in my business or whether it is in my public speaking or in technology or all of that. So I think that's how I think my childhood would have shaped me.
To major in entry barriers. So Peter, how did you overcome these obstacles to create an enabler from 13 individuals to 200 people right now? And of course, now it is recording $200 billion turnover. How did actually you overcome these obstacles, basically entry barriers?
Okay, so to clarify that, now in the business that we were in, there wasn't such a big entry barrier because we were not creating the technology when we started Enable. We were working with technology of global vendors like IBM, Cisco, EMC, companies like that. So we were what you call systems integrators. So we would take these products from global vendors, and we used to bring you have to bring your engineering skills to put it together better than the others. So we had access to the technology. So you could go and become a partner of one of these companies, not so easily. You have to show some credibility that because they don't want to make every Tom and Harry a partner. So in that sense, there wasn't such a big barrier. So we decided to, we had access to people, to technology, but we needed some outstanding engineers. So we got them. And how? Because I had some credibility in the market. So with that, I could go to some of these guys chalked up jobs at Millennium Information Technologies, IBM, and they joined a startup. So I think that gave me a lot of confidence that I mean something, and the story that we are telling about the potential of Enable was something. So we could attract them with this story, and the story that we said was technology has been used mostly, because it was companies thought it was necessary. And CEOs hardly got involved in technology decisions. When we went to speak to them, they'll talk to you, they're very nice to you because they know me, Peter, very nice to meet you, go talk to my IT manager. Because they didn't see technology having business impact. So that's why our name came Enable. We said we'll enable technologies to deliver business outcomes. So that caught the attention of the 13 people, or the 12 people, with me 13, that we needed to get together. So we got the good engineers. Then of course, the problem was credibility in the market. 13 people, new company, and we are talking to the big business, talking to banks and telcos, why should we trust them? That again, I think I had built some credibility. And with these engineers as a team, there was a collective credibility in our company.
The network would have been
That's right. And it's a small place, Sri Lanka. So I think there was some trust that, we can do business with these guys. It took a little time, but I think that carried us through. So that was one. The second thing, more important, was adaptability. Because when we started this business with this great business plan, one of the opportunities we were targeting was a big project at Dialogue. I think we were targeting between $3 to $6 million size business. And some of the engineers we had hired also was targeting that business. Quite a risk, but we knew we could win it. That year, the year we started, 2008, global crisis, Dialogue went from 10 billion rupees profit to zero. Next year they went to 10 billion loss. Straight 45-degree line. Our business plan up in smoke. Now what? That's where, adaptability. Don't stick to this bloody 5-year plan, and what's your 5-year plan, what's your 10-year plan. That world is gone. In fact, anybody who thinks of a 5-year plan is going to be a loser. You've got to have some idea where you're going. So we cottoned on to another technology started, we call virtualization. I don't want to go into great details. Simply what it meant was computers were becoming more and more powerful, but because of the architecture, you could use even the most powerful computer only to run one application. So as a result, most of the computers were running at less than 10% their capacity. But they were drawing 70 to 80% of the rated power energy. So you know these things are burning up energy and not really producing. So VMware, this company VMware came with a technology where they could create software based computers inside a computer. So you could run 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 computers inside a computer. So we cottoned on to that virtualization, evangelized it in Sri Lanka, and I personally went and met 30 customers, 30 CEOs, and 23 we converted. So adaptability.
Right at the start.
Yeah. So your plan is gone, new technology comes, you see the business potential, and I knew this is a conversation I could have with CEOs, not the IT manager. I said, I can bring down your costs, I can bring down 300 servers at Dialog, we brought it to 30 servers. So that was adaptability, yes. And third, of course, is you have to roll up your sleeves and get to work. I came from Millennium IT, we wouldn't touch a project unless it was $50,000 GP. Here, our guys in this office, we had only that section, we didn't have all of this. Even if a purchase order was brought with $1,000 GP, we would applaud, hug him. Machamang visa eka genawa, because our shareholders are waiting to see when we'll turn a profit. They have to actually say, so even me, I had to roll my sleeves and get onto the street. I can't sit in my big air-conditioned office and saying, I came from Millennium IT. No.
So that technology as well as digitalization is changing the landscape of market opportunities. So in this context, complacency will inevitably just lead to failure. So how should business development as well as strategy change in order to add value that is really relevant to customers?
So you said two important words, Karishma. You said complacency and relevance. Now that's exactly what all businesses should be struggling with. You see now if you talk about digitalization, just to clarify what digitalization is, of course the digital era started in the 70s with the PC. That's why when you hear digitalization now, people think, what the heck? I mean, we had PCs. So that was the information age or the digital age, getting personal computers into your home. But today, when we talk digitalization, we talk a little differently, a little more narrowed definition, a world driven by data, artificial intelligence, and automation. Now, with these three combinations, the disruption that's happening is frightening. So today, companies that are being disrupted are not being disrupted by whom they thought were their competition. So they were oblivious to the competition. So that's why you get this disruptive innovation. So those guys with these technologies, data, artificial intelligence with machine learning and automation, they start picking on a segment that you don't even think of. So you are ignoring them. Wow, this was a lower segment of the market. Little by little by little, they keep coming up to you. So you're going in this curve, they keep coming up. Suddenly, your customers, the established players' customers, are starting to become their customers. Too late. You can't. So complacency. And it happens slowly. That's why Netflix took 10 years before they actually completely knocked out Blockbuster. Blockbuster thought they were an innovation. So, and they used nothing but data analytics and all that. So the point is, you're right, that the disruption will come from the least expected quarter. So you see, you can't be complacent about where the threat to your business will come from. Relevance. So when that happens, will you use your relevance? That is why even yesterday, we had a discussion with our team. They are in the telecom business, and now he's saying, yesterday we had a mid-year review, and he suddenly put up a slide saying, are we becoming less relevant to our telecom customers? So at least we are aware. And we said, okay, two things we can do. We can exit the market, or we can say, are there other things that we can do to stay relevant? Give up the more traditional things that you do. Can we look? But at least we are posing the question. Very few companies in Sri Lanka are actually posing that question. They are living on their past success and glory. So relevance, constantly be aware. Now we have another problem. Other companies whom we serve, are they losing their relevance with their customers? So that's why we are not only trying to be relevant for ourselves as enable and just not fall off.
Yeah.
But we're also looking at seeing what can we bring to our customers, technology, especially data and predictive analytics, that will make them stay relevant with their customers. So your question has a very deep connection between our customers' relevance to their consumers and our own relevance as a company to survive, and be around for the next round of MBA students who have an interview with us.
However, digitalization has created a plethora amount of information, but when companies, when they are making decisions, they rely on gut feeling rather decisions based on the market information. So Peter, what do you say about this thing? How people can rely on market information and create values through that?
Okay, so this is very interesting because again this is one of those perennial questions that have been raised. So what is it, gut feeling or data? I think it's a combination, and I'll give you two examples from our own company that tells you the story, two sides of the story. So some years ago, when okay, let me start 2 years ago when we were looking at our business planning session, right? There was a guy who bought a piece of data. He brought a data that said that 9 banks are going to spend 30 billion rupees, their budgets, approved budgets of 30 billion rupees to spend on ICT, information and communication technology. This lit a bulb in my head. And I said, what? 9 banks, 30 billion rupees? How many people can go after this business? How many companies can go after? They said 3, 4, 5. I said 10. Let's say 10. 3 billion. And that time, that doubled our revenues. So, with this data point, we decided we are going after this market. At that time, our outlook for banking was about $250,000 GP. Less than 24 months later, we are looking at a market opportunity, top line, $54 million, 9 billion. So, and already we have won our first project, a leading bank in the country, known for technology. They are switching over from a traditional banking solution they had to this digital banking that we have. So, with the data point, we looked at some key partners, and literally overnight, we have created a massive market opportunity for ourselves. And that's data. Other example, cloud computing. The telecom companies in Sri Lanka are trying to set themselves up as cloud, cloud computing, right? Where you don't own your own infrastructure, you go to a telecom provider, it's a cloud, the data center, and they provide service. So Dialog was going to be one of them. I thought Dialog is a telecom company, they don't know how to do this. Maybe we can start our own cloud company. So we were still in it, and I was here. So I knew a person who brought this idea. She used to work at Dialog. So she said, "Let's meet Dr. Hans." We met him. So Doctor, we want 2 racks from their data center, racks where you put computers and start our cloud. I said, "Why should I do that? Because you compete with me." I said, "You know what, Doctor? It will take you another 10 years to get cloud computing right, because you don't come from that year. We will come here. We will build the cloud before you, then you can buy us out." Hans is a very smart guy, as you know.
Business proposition.
Next day he came back and he told his lady, who was also at work there, "Done. I come back to enable." And then I took the proposition to Amos. There was this gentleman who was a very smart guy, but he got caught up to the old one. He said, "Give me the cash flow projection." Now, this is a whole new business. If I could do a cash flow projection, that would be so good, right? Going back to this balance sheet. 10 other fellows would have done.
Yes.
So the whole idea was we were on to something that had the potential. Now I'm thinking, so we did that. And still SLT and Dialog are struggling to get their cloud business going. Today potentially Enable would have become an outstanding cloud company, because that's our DNA. We know how to make servers and all these work. And Dialog would have acquired us. We would have been very rich. I would be talking to you. And Dialog would have been the country's foremost cloud provider. Gut feel.
So managing people is a difficult task as it is, but in the current context, it's increasingly difficult with the presence of multiple generations in the workforce. So words like baby boomers, Generation X and millennials are not just buzzwords anymore. So you yourself recently celebrated 60th, a milestone birthday, and have now successfully transitioned into the third generation. So what strategies do you use and probably find most effective when collaborating with a cross section of these individuals?
I think the biggest challenge is to connect, because you can connect with your workforce, then you get through the first hurdle. So it's about how you communicate with them. So that's where I think I have a very direct style of communicating with people. I just go up, talk to them, I'm around them, and I don't know, again, maybe it's something I acquired from my childhood. I can connect with people at different levels. Because I go to their level. I never talk down to people. Even if they're 22, I treat them like they are my peers. I never talk down. I don't think I'm talking to a 22-year-old. A second is inspiring people. So you can inspire anyone with stories, right?
True.
So storytelling, that's also a quality that I've acquired. I can tell a story. So I can tell a story to any generation. I can tell stories to children, to 2-year-old, because I become the dad. I become
animated.
So storytelling is another way in which across all these generations, Karishma, that you spoke about, everyone likes a story.
Yeah.
So storytelling has helped me. And last but not least, the challenge, of course, and which we are working on, is to get everyone engaged around issues.
Right.
And for that, the thing that we follow, we are very open. We expose all of our numbers and stuff like that. So transparency and openness is what the new generation, any generation, likes. Tell me the real story. I don't want to hear it in the gossiping in the tea room. They all hear the bad news from us.
Yeah.
So openness gives us a unique opportunity to engage, and for them to get engaged in us. Engagement is a huge problem for the company, and they are outbound and all those things. Those are all very good, but transparency and being open is something. So those are the three key things that I try to pay attention to in order to bridge this so-called gap. And every one of them, whatever generation, they like to be valued.
So the most successful people, like Bhanuka that you mentioned, for example, are those that accept change and then adapt to it the fastest as well. So this adaptability requires you to be, to a certain degree, flexible as well as confident. So how do you manage this paradox of humility and confidence?
Is it a paradox? Is the first question. Because people who are humble they don't think less of themselves.
Right.
They think about themselves less. Again.
Yeah.
So they don't think less about themselves. They don't think, they are not good enough. No, they're very confident. Just that they think about themselves less. They don't make themselves the most important person.
Right.
So it's not in that sense a paradox. It does not mean to say I'm humble, I don't know anything. No. You are very confident. You don't think less of yourself. But you don't think that you are the most important person. And why is this important? Because you see, leaders, particularly those who want to inspire people, they want to showcase not just their achievements, but with their character. And humility, after all, it authenticates. It makes you
relatable.
come across as being human. Humility, because what does it mean? It means humility means that you can fail, and being human is about failing. So it's okay to tell them, you know what, I was wrong. And so I think when you do that, you connect well with the people you're trying to inspire. He is not a god. He's a human after all. We can be like him. We can, because he's one of us. He went through all this stuff, right? He made so many mistakes along the way, and you know what that means. So you don't put yourself up there, and so they connect with you as a human being. The second thing, the most important thing is that humility. You listen to people more, and if you listen more, you learn. And in today's world, when there is so much going on, you want to learn from whoever you can. it's not a trade-off.
Yeah.
You're confident, I am. Everybody knows that. At the same time, it's okay to say that, I have my failings as a leader, and then they think you're authentic, you're not a show-off, you're not bogus. And thirdly, as I said, most important, you will learn.
So the secret of change is not to focus all of your energy on fighting the old, but on building the new. Ironically, these words of Socrates, which are extremely historical, seem to be more relevant today, where the focus of individuals as well as companies seems to be a lot on profitability rather than real impactful change to society. So what is your advice? How can we change this rigid mindset to bring about some kind of conscious change?
Yeah, this is what that keeps me engaged, Karishma, because you see, I think companies are focusing, as you correctly said, entirely on profitability, and as a result, two things are happening. One is they're destroying the planet because just with their greed, who can constantly improve their rate of profit, not even the profit, the rate of profit.
Yes.
If you go 6% last year, you go 12%, and it goes on and on and on. And in the process, they will do anything to make it. So look at the natural resources that are getting completely destroyed. So the planet won't be able to sustain itself. And secondly, the passive income inequity that you have, extreme wealth at one end, extreme poverty at the other. And that is why I don't really respect companies like Apple and Facebook and Amazon and all these guys. Recently there was an interview, somebody interviewed me, and they said, who do you choose, Elon Musk or Steve Jobs? I said, neither. I look up to them as people that we want to be proud of. Because Apple pays almost zero tax in a lot of countries. They're $1 trillion company. If these companies are using every trick in the book not to pay their fair share of taxes, how can you create a society in which there is money to look after the public infrastructure, public interest like health and education? All of us came through an education system, a health system that is funded by taxes. Those who have their share of income pay a high income, pay a fair share of income. So companies to be different and talk about corporate social responsibility and all of that. When their own staff can hardly, they are in starvation wages, and they have to, where do they go? So absolutely right. I mean, as we think of a society where business is playing a key role in the economy, I think they need to be conscious. One, the damage they're doing to the planet, and secondly, are they creating income, more income equality, or are they creating more income inequality? So I think, and secondly, it should we, even as individuals and companies, even as we engage in business and as you folks do your MBA, is it all right for you only to focus on your own career and your own future? What about some of the large issues that we face in people's life? Like I talk about the kidney disease problem all the time. Thousands of people dying, we have not found the reason. And when there was 1,000 dialysis machines needed in the country, there were only 180. We needed 2 billion rupees to make 5,000 dialysis machines. But we spent 4 billion on a cricket ground in Churega, in which hardly a cricket match is played. So my question always is, even as companies, as employees, they ask me, is it all right for us to be different? So as you go through your MBA and build a career for yourself, you have to reflect on your life. What do you think of? Is it your career? I did an MBA, I built a house, I bought this big car, I've set up a fund for my children. Or if you have addressed one of the many inequities that face the people of this country, only then can you say, always my life was well lived, my life was well lived.
Great. Thank you so much for all these valuable insights, not just food for thought, I think, but action possibly. Jeevan and I, along with the rest of our team, thank you and wish you nothing but success in all your future endeavors.
Thank you, and likewise, I wish you a great